Growing up is a fact of life, and that's true for cars too. And this all-new 2019 Subaru Forester is proof of that. The original Forester was the automotive equivalent of a teenager that was a national Latin scholar and in a garage band. It was nerdy, but also kind of cool because it refused to fit neatly within a defined market segment. Then, for the second generation, the Subaru Forester hit its wild streak. At a time when the Honda CR-V was puttering around with 166 horsepower, you could get a Forester with 235 turbocharged ponies and a manual transmission. But then the Forester started to ease into its grown-up pants. The third generation Forester started to look more like a normal SUV, and by the fourth generation, Subaru was touting things like an eco-fuel economy gauge instead of rally-bred performance. And that brings us back to the new Forester, which doesn't even offer a turbocharged engine anymore. But today, I'm going to explain why a more mature Forester is a better Forester. As we age, we tend to get a little bigger around the waist, and that's true of this 2019 Forester too. It's a little bit longer and a little bit wider than the model it replaces, but that does translate into a more spacious cabin. Rear seat passengers benefit the most from the Forester's upsizing, with almost 1.5 inches more rear seat legroom. Look how much room I have for activities! Subaru also supersized the Forester's rear hatch opening, which makes it easier to load large objects. In fact, you can fit a golf bag in here sideways, and there's plenty of room in the cargo area with the second row seats up, and it grows to an even more spacious area with the seats folded. Looks can be the first thing to go when you age, but the 2019 Forester hasn't aged a day. I mean, just look at it. It looks exactly like it did 4 years ago. Subaru did at least give the Forester a butt lift for the new model year in the form of these new taillights that form this cool looking C shape. There's also a new sport model for the 2019 model year that gives the Forester a more youthful appearance. The sport package includes black wheels, orange accents, and this water-resistant upholstery, which makes the Forester Sport the perfect vehicle for surfers, or more realistically, for dads that get sweaty dancing the Macarena at a family wedding. With age comes wisdom, and this new Forester has an abundance of intelligence. For starters, there's a new head unit that responds to voice commands and also runs Android Auto and Apple CarPlay right out of the box. Every 2019 Forester also gets Subaru's EyeSight safety suite that includes lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control, and emergency braking, so it's nearly impossible to have a crash. But the piece de resistance is a new face recognition system that can not only detect if you're drowsy, but who you are. Instead of using the key fob or a setting within the infotainment system to determine a driver's profile, the Forester actually scans your face and then sets the vehicles to your specific settings. It'll change the seat position, the mirrors, the climate control, pretty much everything. That's like something from the Jetsons. The Forester's powertrain has also gotten a little more clever. This is a 2.5-liter four-cylinder in a boxer configuration, of course, that now has direct injection. So power stands at 182 horsepower and 176 pound-feet of torque. Both those figures are up slightly from last year. But despite having more power, this is actually more efficient than the model it replaces. In mixed driving, you can get 29 miles per gallon, which rivals a lot of the front-wheel drive competition in this class. Those that lament the disappearance of the Forester's turbocharged engine, well, you should have bought one. According to Subaru, only about 5% of Forester buyers actually sprang for the XT model, so it was an easy business decision just to kill it off altogether. But even without a turbo, this four-cylinder moves the Forester along just fine. Obviously, it's not fast, but acceleration is on par with pretty much everything else in the segment. But unlike everything else in the segment, the Forester has a trick up its sleeve. All but the base models come with X mode, which sounds like something a superhero's car would have, but it's actually a clever all-wheel drive system that includes hill descent control. So even though you'll never take your Forester off-road, you actually could. But Subaru hasn't sacrificed the Forester's on-road manners in the name of off-road ability. Like the old one, this new Forester is quite nice to drive. There's not a lot of body roll through the corners, and the suspension does a good job of absorbing bumps while still providing confident handling. And like the old Forester, visibility is excellent. There's giant windows everywhere without that sloping roof nonsense to block your view out. But the biggest leap forward for this new model is its refinement. This cabin feels much more premium, and it's so much quieter in here than the old one. This now feels like a proper grown-up's car. Despite all the niceness contained within this Subaru-shaped box, the Forester remains reasonably priced. A base model can be had for around $25,000, and a fully loaded example like this one here is about $35,000. And that puts the Forester right on par with other small SUVs in the segment, like the Honda CR-V and the Toyota RAV4. So there it is, the all-new 2019 Subaru Forester, proof that growing up isn't all that bad. Yes, we've lost the turbocharged engine and the manual transmission, but we've gained a Forester that's more practical, loaded with tech, and far more premium feeling. In other words, Subaru's delivered the kind of small SUV that shoppers are actually looking for.